Hi, my name is Lola Aneki and I welcome you to Speed Dial on Finding Help with Special Needs. Today I'll be talking to us about nature of behavior of children with special needs. Again, nature of the behavior of children with special needs. Now, every time I meet teachers, well-meaning teachers who want children with special needs to be educated with their neurotypical mates in the same classroom, they have their questions that they have for me is always almost the same. You know, our discussion centers around the behavior of the children. The children yell, I want to help this child. I want the child to be in my classroom, but this child yells. This child does not sit on a seat. This child disturbs other children by snatching their papers. This child always paces around my classroom. This child screams. This child cries. What can I do to decrease this behavior? What can I do to decrease this challenging behavior in the classroom so that these children can learn, so that they will not disturb other children? And the things I say to them is what I'll be discussing with us today. The first thing to do is to gather data so that you can track the occurrence of the behavior. So you need to gather data. And how do you gather data? I know we are very busy teachers. Most times the ratio of students to teachers is always very, high. So you have like a ratio of 1 to 10 teacher on the mark. Some people have 1 to 5, but most times you feel that you have a lot on your hands and gathering data is not what you want to do. But guess what? If you must help that child, if you must include that child in your classroom, and if you must help that child decrease the behavior that's affecting the child, you must gather data. There are several ways you can do it, depending on how you sell the idea to your teaching assistant, to your school administrator, or whoever is in charge. Once you let them see the reason why you need someone to help you, then the job is easy. Once you find that person, the person can either act as a classroom teacher at that time while you act as a person gathering the information, or better still, you can have the person gather the information while you teach in the classroom. So the first thing to do when you're gathering the information to track the occurrence of the behavior is you gather the frequency of the behavior. You want to gather how often the behavior occur, how many times does it occur. But to do that, you need to get 2 schedules. The first schedule is the one that is used for your classroom. Every classroom has a schedule. So the schedule might say from 9 to 9:30 we have literacy. From 9:30 to 10 o'clock we have numeracy. From 10 o'clock to 10:30 is break. From 10:30 to 11 o'clock is breakfast. Depending on your schedule, every school have different schedule. Now, that original sheet that has your schedule, what you will do is to duplicate it. When you duplicate it, you ensure that the column that has the lesson you have. So for example, 9 to 9:30 is literacy. The column that says literacy, you can take that out and make sure that there's no lesson, there's no name of the activity you have there. You leave it blank. Okay. Now what you do is each time, so we'll take an example of yelling out. So the child yells out. You want to put frequency on that column. So there's timing, there's frequency. That column that says frequency, you're going to put in bracket yelling out. That's the behavior you want to see the occurrence. You want to take data of the occurrence of that behavior, and the behavior is yelling out. Now on that column where you have yelling out, if a child yells out at about 9 o'clock, you represent that with a stroke, like a tally, a stroke. If that child yells out 3 times from 9 to 9:30, then you have 3 strokes. If he yells out 5 times, you have 5 strokes. Remember how the tally works. Once you have 4 strokes, the 5th stroke goes on top of it crosses across the 4th stroke. That makes it 5 strokes. Once you've done that, you can, if the child yells out again by 9:30 to 10:30 again, you continue your stroking till you get to 5, and then there's 6, depending on how many times the child yells out. Now, another thing you need to also check is the duration of the yelling. So if you're working on yelling also, your behavior you're trying to track the occurrence is yelling. So the first thing you did, a frequency, you collected data on frequency and you stroked from maybe a child yelled out between 9 to 9:30 5 times, for example, you stroke that 5 times, that column 5 times. The second column would be duration. Duration means how long did that child yell out for how long. So you want to achieve that, you need a timer or a stopwatch. Thank God for technology. We all have stopwatch on our phones. You could use a timer. So for example, if the child starts yelling from 9 o'clock, you just press your timer and see how long that yelling will last for. It could last for a minute, it could last for 2 minutes, it could last for 30 seconds. Once you get that timing, make sure you write how long. So 9 o'clock to 9:01 was the duration of this yelling. Another thing you want to check out is the intensity. How severe was the yelling? So the fourth column will have intensity. That is the severity of the yelling. Now the yelling could be a mild one, it could be a very severe one, it could be a moderate one. So you could write mild if it was just a mild yell. If it was a severe one, you put severe. Remember, the time it could be the time the child this yelling occurred could be different time. Just take note of the timing it occurred during the day. Okay, so if it occurred between 9 to 9:30, make sure the column has the frequency, intensity, and duration on different columns. Okay, time, frequency, intensity, and duration. Okay, and then you take your record of how it occurred. For frequency, you know the frequency means how many times it occurred. For duration is how long it occurred. Now intensity is the severity of the occurrence. Okay, once you've done that, the next thing you have to do is now. So when you do that, you don't just do it for a day. You can do it for as much as 5 days, 6 days, a whole week, 2 weeks. So you can have enough data to analyze. Once you've done once you take data of your frequency, your duration, and your intensity, you now want to take all those the blank schedule for your classroom. You now want to analyze them. When did this happen? What time did it happen? That analysis will help you to see how often that behavior occur. It could be after break. Remember I said do not put the particular activity in those columns, just the time you need, the time. So you can now say, okay, this child yells out every time we're coming back from break. Every time recess is over is when he yells out, for example. That gives you the timing, the duration, the timing he yells out. So for example, that yelling out occurred during break or after break. It could also, the intensity could be something like this child yells out more when Miss A speaks to him. But when Miss B speaks to him, he doesn't yell that much. So that will give you the intensity of the yelling out. It could also be when you are transitioning from one lesson to another. Maybe you are transitioning from maybe break time to numeracy. That might be the time that the intensity is high, or when a particular person speaks to him. Now the duration could also be this is always longer. He yells out longer during numeracy, or he yells out longer during literacy. So these are the ways you can find out the nature of the behavior of a child before you can now think of the best way to come up with a functional behavior plan for that child. So I'll quickly do a recap as I always do. How to find out the nature of the behavior is to ensure that you take data of the frequency of the behavior, the intensity of the behavior, the duration of the behavior. When you gather all of that, then you do an analysis of the duration, the frequency, and the intensity of the behavior before you can now know the next step of providing help or adjusting the behavior of the child. Thank you for watching this video. I'll see you some other time.